"Dad, that waitress looks just like Mum." Those words slipped from Ethan's lips with the innocent certainty only a child can possess. Daniel turned around, and in that instant, he froze. The world as he knew it trembled beneath his feet. His wife was dead, buried, and yet, standing across the restaurant, was her face. Ethan gently tugged on the sleeve of his father's blazer and repeated, in a near whisper that sounded more like a plea than a comment, "Dad, that waitress over there, she looks just like Mum." Daniel turned slowly, not expecting to see more than a passing resemblance. But as soon as his eyes landed on the woman, his breath caught in his throat. She wasn't similar, she was identical. The same delicate jawline, the same hazel eyes carrying a soft yet sorrowful gleam, the same gentle posture. It was as though the past had pulled up a chair and joined them at the table. Everything around him faded. The clinking of cutlery, the low hum of chatter, the clatter of wine glasses, all of it became muffled, distant. There, standing in her work apron, holding a notepad, smiling politely, was Claire. The waitress noticed the lingering gaze and walked over, her steps light, almost weightless. "Is everything all right, sir?" she asked, her voice sweet and composed, with a soft British lilt eerily reminiscent of Claire's own tone. The voice, it was too familiar. Ethan nudged his dad again, impatient but gentle. "Dad, speak to her. She looks exactly like Mum." Daniel remained speechless. Memories wrapped around his chest like winter fog. The funeral, the cold gravestone, the haunting emptiness beside him in bed. And now, this. "May I ask your name?" he managed, his voice slightly cracked. "Lauren," she replied, tilting her head with a small, puzzled smile. "Why do you ask?" The name meant nothing, but the face, that face had once been his whole world. "Can we speak to her, Dad?" Ethan asked, his wide eyes full of childlike wonder. Lauren could feel the tension, the emotion thick in the air. "I've got a break in a bit. If you'd like, we can sit outside in the back garden." And so, they did. 15 minutes later, the three of them were seated at a small iron table beneath the shade of a sycamore tree. The breeze whispered through the leaves. Time, again, seemed to hold its breath. "So, who do you think I look like?" Lauren asked, folding her hands over her lap, slightly nervous. Daniel inhaled deeply. "My wife, Claire. She passed away 2 years ago. And seeing you just now, it was like seeing her again." Lauren looked away, visibly touched. "I'm so sorry. That must have been heartbreaking." He nodded slowly. Words felt too heavy, too thin to carry what he truly felt. Claire wasn't just his wife. She was home. Ethan then said something that turned the air electric. "What if you two are sisters?" Lauren laughed softly, surprised. "Sisters? I don't think so. I grew up in a children's home. Never knew any of my family. Always thought I was alone." Daniel felt the blood drain from his face. Claire was raised in an orphanage too. She spent her life searching. She always said she felt like someone was missing. "Do you know where you were born?" he asked, leaning forward. "Not exactly. The papers just had my name and date of birth. No records of parents." "And your birthday?" She said it, and Daniel's entire world tilted. The same day as Claire's. He sat back, stunned. It wasn't just a resemblance anymore. This was something else. Something far deeper, far older. "Have you ever tried to find your family?" he asked. "For years. But it felt like chasing shadows in the mist. No names, no trails, just silence." Daniel said nothing. Ethan, however, lit up again. "Maybe Mum really was your sister." Lauren touched her cheek gently, as if trying to feel if it was really her face. Claire always said she felt like a piece of her heart was somewhere out there, Daniel continued. Someone she was meant to find, but never could. And what if that someone was me? Lauren whispered, trembling. There's one way to know for sure, said Daniel. A DNA test. She hesitated. And if it's not? Then at least you'll know. And you won't be alone. Either way, Lauren looked between the two of them. Finally, she nodded. All right, let's do it. Ethan clapped his hands, excited. That means I might have a new aunt. Lauren smiled at him, still hesitant. And if we're wrong? Daniel reached across the table and held her hand. We're here, no matter what the result says. The next morning, the three of them walked into the clinic together. The walls were sterile, white. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant. Lauren's hands trembled slightly. Daniel stayed by her side. Ethan held her hand the entire time. After the test, they stopped by a quiet little cafe. They barely spoke. It was as if the world were suspended, waiting to breathe again. Lauren watched Ethan closely. There was something familiar in him. Something warm. The days dragged. Lauren kept checking her phone every hour. So did Daniel, though he tried not to show it. Until, finally, a message. The results are in. Lauren called immediately. I'm still at the restaurant. I'll come pick you up, Daniel replied. 15 minutes later, she got into his car. She noticed the envelope in his lap. Do you want to open it? Or should I read it? He asked. Please, you read it. Daniel opened it slowly. Read in silence. Then looked at her with eyes full of something deeper than surprise. Your sisters. Lauren froze. She didn't cry at first. She couldn't. Her body forgot how to breathe. And then the tears came. A flood of grief and joy, tangled together. She had spent her entire life thinking she was alone. That she had no one. And all this time, she had a sister. Daniel took her hand. Ethan leaned forward from the back seat and gently placed his hand over hers. You're with us now, Aunt Lauren. She laughed through her tears, a laugh that cracked open something deep inside. For the first time in her life, she felt like she belonged. You don't have to leave, Daniel said quietly. This is your home too. She looked at him, then at Ethan, sleeping on her shoulder. And with a voice steady with newfound certainty, she replied, I'll stay. That night, Lauren slept in the room that once belonged to Claire. She touched the books, the framed photos, the perfume bottle still on the dresser. She opened old photo albums and traced Claire's smile with her fingertips. Claire had been lost to her in life, but now she had found her again. In memories, in stories, in a family that welcomed her without hesitation. There, in that house filled with grief and grace, Lauren discovered something she'd never had before. A sister, a nephew, and, finally, a place to call home.